Well, let's go into the hot takes for gaming.
Mixed Media Gaming.
Hello, and welcome back to Mixed Media. We just finished Ben's segment on 90s animated films, as you can see by the thumbnail. Yeah, I'll be doing my Arguing with Reddit segment on gaming.
Nathan hasn't seen these before, so I'm just going to pop one random.
Except the one.
Yes, except his own, the one that he picked for himself. Well, other than that, he hasn't seen any of them, so I'll pull that up at random, and we'll be ready to go. And this first one is from Producer Wife. I don't know if you can read it. I'll read it for you.
I can't. I don't have the stream open either this time. So.
Okay, so it says, Valve honestly is a worse gaming company than EA is, and is surviving based on the reputation and its community being very unwilling to call them out. And they're saying, look at what they've done recently. CSGO refused to update and fix anti-cheat. 360, a service which costs money to play against players who don't use cheats, basically profiting off of cheaters. And then TF2 refused to deal with aimbot users, hasn't given a Valve update since 2017. Only updates are new hats to buy. Literally had bots showing child stuff, I can't say, and was only stopping after media outlash. Artifact is a game, I assume. Killed after bad launch, and then Dota, Valve's baby. I guess that's the one that they pour all the resources into. So what's your take?
So I don't really know anything about any of this. So I used to play CSGO a lot. I think it might be my third or fourth most played game at this point by hours on Steam, but I don't play it anymore, so I don't know anything about. I've never heard of this 360 service thing. Refused to update to fix anti-cheat. Look, I was pretty sure that their anti-cheat had been whacked for the longest time, so I guess I do know about that. But I figured as well, like just like a anti-cheat is hard thing. Although I'm not entirely sure why they couldn't switch to another anti-cheat system. Perhaps just hard to integrate that stuff with say Source Engine, and actually probably there are presumably there are not many anti-cheats that actually work on Source Engine, considering it's a pretty niche engine, and that is what CS:GO uses. So maybe VAC is the only pretty much the only viable anti-cheat solution. It also has some Steam integration, but not much, I guess. So I don't know if they're unwilling to fix it. I don't know if it's just a hard problem. I don't actually know anything about that. All the other stuff I literally never even heard of. The game Artifact, Artifact, whatever it is, it sounds familiar. I can't remember what it is. I don't know. I guess it's killed after launch, huh? Dota, Valve's baby. Once again, I've never played Dota. I don't know a single thing about Dota. I've never met someone who plays Dota. It's very odd. I think Dota is top 3 most. Well, it's definitely top 10 for sure. Most played games on Steam, always, pretty much, right? I never spoke to someone who says, "Yeah, I play Dota." I don't know. I never see that.
Same though. I've never heard. The only time I've ever seen someone play Dota was, or met someone who played Dota was in college when I was working at the Digital Media Center. I saw one person, out of all the League players playing League, one person was playing Dota, and I was like, "That's what Dota looks like."
Yeah, it's crazy though, because it is one of those played games, right? But I just literally top. It's been there for a long time. But where are these people? I don't know. It's a lot easier to find a CS:GO player or something like that.
Isn't the meme that people like that League is just the better Dota? I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but isn't that the?
I don't know. People play it though, right? If I go to Steam charts right now, Dota is number 2 most played game currently on Steam after CS:GO, right? So you would think it'd be, because currently there are 286,000 people playing Dota 2. I don't know where they are though. So, by the way, the next thing is way lower. Is Dying Light 2, which just released, so that won't stay there long. But it's 148,000. So we're talking 140,000 difference. So it's about half. Yeah, the next thing on the list has about half the players currently, and it just has that new. It was a very hyped up game, and it just came out. So yeah, sadly I can't really say anything about this.
Okay.
Oh, I will say, however, that I actually don't. Yeah, I think Valve is kind of a whack company in some regard. I understand that they gave birth to a lot of cool games and stuff like that. Some of which I haven't played. Like I played a bit of TF2. I see the appeal there. I've not played Half-Life, even though I've been like begged to before. Because apparently it's very, very, very influential towards games that came later. It's very innovative or revolutionary, I guess, first time or whatever. So I haven't played that, but I will say the Steam store is just really bad. It is the worst product in existence. It is slow. It is ugly. In some places, ugly. Looks like it because it literally has not been updated. Some parts have not been updated for many, many years. I feel like when I started using Steam, I feel like it looked the same, but probably it's not the case. But I cannot remember the last way it looked. In certain pages, they did actually recently meaning like 2 years ago, update a bunch of the pages. But the Steam Workshop is like, I feel like they stopped developing it. Like, okay, it's cool now, but like certain things are just not like I feel like there are ways to go. They're just not going with that. And some people use other like third-party mod hosting sites like ModDB, which is like, it's annoying because it's not Steam Workshop. It's just like, there's no best of both worlds in that regard. Yeah, I mean, Steam Store is pretty garbage. That's it. Oh, and their quality control is like non-existent on Steam games, pretty much. But does that really matter? I don't really think it's actually that important. I mean, it just lets people point out inaccurate figures on how many games come out. Well, it's not inaccurate. Misleading figures on how many games come out a week. It's like, okay, this many come out a week, but like they shouldn't have passed quality assurance pretty much. So, yeah.
Which is a great segue into Ben's take, which is next. Ben, do you want to explain?
Yeah, so this is a pretty controversial take I found on Reddit. I'm just going to read it. It's not too long. What is your opinion on so many people doing game dev? Normally, I would not be against people just making games, but when people from different fields, or maybe some professionals from the CS field, just want to do game dev out of nowhere, it makes me question lots of things. Is this the main reason why the quality has definitely dropped over the years? Is it better to have a bigger community of game devs so that everyone can see and learn from each other? Are there reasons like Stardew guy made millions of dollars, so let me try too? I would like to hear your opinions because why not?
All right, well, here's my opinion. That was extremely relevant. That's funny. I don't really think a lot of people just like suddenly go, I want to do game dev. Maybe that's a thing, but it's not something I've really seen much of. It seems to be like a more long-term thing, not like, I'm already like a computer science, someone who's like in a computer science job or something like that, and is like, oh, I'm going to do game dev suddenly, right? Probably grew over time or something like that. I think naturally the amount of people who want to do it increase as gaming becomes larger and, people play more games essentially and think, hey, it's pretty cool. Or they see that it's a viable career and they decide they want to do it, whatever. So is that a reason why the quality has dropped over the years? Well, yeah, I think that has something to do with it because there was a time where the barrier to entry in game dev was higher, and so you had to be better at what you did in order to get on the Steam store, right? As well, it was a more niche thing, right? So it was more like people with more passion are going to be the kinds of people who are going to want to do these things. People who are more likely to study games, stuff like that. So yeah, I think just more people wanting to do something, right? It's like how many people like start drawing and they don't get anywhere with it, right? I think it's a similar sort of thing. Just a lot of people doing it, and just naturally a lot of people just won't end up being doing good at it, which is just normal, I think, for any sort of art form. Is it better to have a big community of game devs so that everyone can see and learn from each other? Yeah, I guess. Although I think. Yes, I think it's better to be able to learn from people, right? Just have more people means you can learn from more people, and it seems like we're not like saturated in any way in terms of like teachers, right? Like there are not like infinite numbers of YouTube channels you can find. There are a lot, but there are only so many of like that are really good quality and stuff like that. So yeah, I think it definitely helps to have bigger communities, and not even like larger scale things like YouTube channels, but even things like people posting on forums. Like if you go to like the Unity game design forum, which I frequent, it's not that active relative to like the other areas of the Unity forum or other places of communication. It's really not that active at all relative to what you think, given that it's a game design subforum of an entire the largest game engine in the world, right? By users at least. There's definitely room for more game devs to join in on the conversation. A lot of potentially interesting topics go unnoticed, or people just don't respond because there are not a lot of people, and people who do see it, I just think it's not worth their time, whatever. And I kind of feel bad for whoever made the post because they're not getting any responses, or they get few responses or whatever. Although I think that partly has to do with the fact that people are moving away from forums like that, traditional forums. Like if you go to like Reddit, you'll probably have an easier time. But even then, still, it's not going to, you're not for sure going to get a response. Other reasons like Stardew guy made millions of dollars. Let me try to. So if you don't know, Stardew is a indie game that became very popular, very, very, very popular. I always hear people say, if you're doing game dev for the money, you're in the wrong field, which I think is pretty true, because things like this are definitely up to a lot of RNG, a lot of randomness. I'd say, like making millions of dollars. I'm not discrediting this guy, right? But I'm sure he did not expect, anything near that amount of success. So should you try such thing? I mean, you definitely shouldn't try it. If your sole purpose is to make money, there are definitely smarter ways to make more money with less risk than doing game development. It's more of like a thing if you're passionate about it and you want to make money at the same time, right? That's when you should do game dev. So are people joining in because people see the success? I hope not. I was more of a passion thing. People often say, don't do it if you see this so many times in YouTube videos and whatever. People say, don't do it for the money or whatever. But I never see anyone say they're doing it for the money. So I feel like most people I speak to say, are just like, I don't care about the money. I'm just making a game because I want to make a game. So I don't think this is a big reason for sure. I think most of it, from at least people I've talked to, it's just like they just want to make the game. They want to make the game that they want to make. That's pretty much it.
Cool. And I guess that kind of relates to yours in a way. In a certain way. It's a little less smooth of a transition than the last one, but I think it relates somewhat. Go ahead.
Yeah, so this one's about cloud gaming, and it's just the title. There's no description. It just says, hoping cloud gaming takes off so gaming equality is available to the masses. More importantly, we will never be held ransom by scalpers for consoles and GPUs ever again. And if you notice on this post, this has a net 0 upvotes, and it's 32 comments, so it's very controversial, I guess. Pretty split 50-50 actually, on whether they like this post or not. But so cloud gaming is something that's becoming more and more relevant, although Stadia kind of died. But I think it'll manifest itself in Microsoft or Sony or something like that. And some people are looking forward to it and thinking part of the reason why people think it's inevitable is because of the high prices currently of consoles and GPUs due to hardware shortages and scalpers and whatnot. And so this person's saying, hooray for cloud gaming. People are saying hooray for cloud gaming. Gaming will be cheap. It'll be essentially like consolidated, and from there it can be made cheaper, by having essentially multiple people sharing large servers that are more efficient and all that good stuff. So I think this is okay. Is it good in that sense? Sure, but it certainly isn't wholly good. There is definitely some issues with it, and the fact that you might actually just run into the same exact problem, and that if you let's say you have a scenario where because starting up a game streaming service is not a cheap endeavor, right? You need a bunch of servers, and that's probably the biggest barrier to entry, is that you need a bunch of servers everywhere. So you can imagine that only a few amount of companies will be able to develop streaming services for games. Now, what this means is when you have a low pool, is that they might start jacking up the prices, right? Because there's not actually that much competition, and so you just held ransom by the cloud streaming services, right? And I think there's going to be a lot less competition than people think in that space. As you can see, once again, Stadia dropping out. I have a feeling Amazon is also going to drop out. Netflix has been like, I don't know what they're doing, but I don't have much faith with them. They've been sort of poking at the idea, I guess, of that kind of gaming stuff. But they do have, streaming is their business, their main business. So I don't know, maybe they can come up with something with nice compression algorithms to deliver really high quality or something like that at relatively low bandwidth, which is one of the big problems. But I think it'll mostly be a Microsoft thing and a Sony thing, probably. So if you have two options plus probably some smaller options or whatever, you're gonna get to this problem where you only have two options, right? And that's actually a problem with like hardware shortages, right? Where say take a CPU or a GPU. They're only available from two companies. For CPUs, you have AMD and Intel. For GPUs, you have NVIDIA and AMD. Like, there's nowhere else you can go to get a CPU or a GPU. Same thing with consoles. The console shortage being talking about like non-mobile consoles, right? So Xbox or PlayStation, right? There are only two of them. Plus like the Wii U, which I don't even think they manufacture that anymore, as far as I'm aware. Nor was that a particularly successful endeavor. So, but yeah, I'm talking about at least current gen non-mobile stuff is PlayStation and Xbox. Is there more to the issue than just the fact that there's two companies? Yeah, maybe there are more companies to still be kind of an issue, but more. I think that is definitely part of the reason for sure, is that there are just so few options. So when you have cloud gaming, it's sort of tough because you don't own your own hardware anymore, and so you are beholden to the streaming costs of whatever they say, essentially. So I don't really think that this is going to be I think at least it has potential to go very bad. I think there's a good chance it will go pretty bad in terms of hurting the consumer. But versus the way it was before, where you just bought your console or GPU or whatever and you moved on with your life, that kind of thing.
And that's it for this week's hot takes, pretty much. So if you have your own hot takes, hit us up in the comments. Go to our Discord, link in the description. Okay, and then I'll finish off with a review of a short film. So we'll transition and get it going.